Today is Friday the 17th of March and this is from the South. Argentine human rights activists joined Nobel Peace Prize winner Adolfo Pérez Esquivel and Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo founder Nora Cortina for a visit to the Falkland Islands. The visit was part of efforts to build stronger social and cultural ties between Falklanders and Argentines that have been strained by tensions between London and Buenos Aires. In 2016, London and Buenos Aires agreed on framework to identify the bodies of dozens of unknown Argentine soldiers. A young Mexican man whose remains were among the first identified after being discovered in a Veracruz mass grave was mourned by his family and friends. The remains of prosecutor Pedro Huesca Barradas and his secretary Gerardo Monte are the only ones that have been identified so far, after investigators recovered more than 250 skulls from unmarked graves at a site in Veracruz. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights released its report on the Colombian peace process, noting a, quote, deeply worrying pattern of violence against human rights activists and community leaders. The report found that in 2016, there were over 380 attacks on social movement and human rights activists, including more than 120 assassinations. Parents of Guatemalan shelter fire victim Estefany Soto confirmed on Tuesday that authorities gave them the wrong body and that she was still alive. Last week, a fire broke out in a government-run shelter, killing 40 girls. Soto was one of the 40 who was pronounced dead by authorities, but was discovered hospitalized in a Galveston, Texas hospital on Tuesday. She was one of 4 girls that were transported to the Children's Hospital last Saturday. Peruvian authorities rushed to pull residents from rooftops in the municipality of Huachipe after the Huayco River overflowed its banks and sent torrents of mud and water rushing through the streets. Using ropes and pulleys, rescue workers evacuated residents one by one from the buildings. According to Peru's National Emergency Operations Center, the number of deaths resulting from flooding so far this year has risen from 50 to 62 in recent days. President Pedro Pablo Kuczynski has declared a state of emergency in some parts of the country. German Chancellor Angela Merkel arrived at the White House for a meeting with President Donald Trump. The German Chancellor and U.S. President will hold talks in the Oval Office, hoping to narrow differences on NATO, Russia, global trade, and a host of other issues. According to Washington's top diplomat Rex Tillerson, military action by the United States against nuclear-armed North Korea is a, quote, option on the table. The action may be taken if the threat from the Korean government escalates, according to the Secretary of State. Tillerson is in Asia after a North Korean missile launch last week was described as a drill for an attack on U.S. bases in Japan. At least 42 Somali refugees were killed when a boat was attacked by helicopter off the coast of Yemen. Women and children were among the victims. Some of the refugees were carrying official UNHCR documents, and according to officials, they may have been on their way to Sudan. It remains unclear who carried out the attack. Uganda's second most prominent policeman was shot and killed in his car along with 2 other officers as he left his home in Kampala. Assistant Inspector General of Police Andrew Kawizi served as the force's spokesman and was one of the country's most high-profile officers. The Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, glowed a brilliant green from its perch overlooking the city on Thursday. The landmark was lit in Irish green ahead of St. Patrick's Day, which is celebrated in Ireland and throughout different parts of the world on March 17th. Ireland's Minister of State for Training, Skills and Innovation attended the event during his week-long visit to Brazil to advance bilateral tourism. More on these and other stories on our website telesurtv.net/English.